There are moments in history when nature whispers a warning. Then there are moments when it no longer whispers. It roars. Today we stand before such a moment. Across the oceans, two massive storms are rising with a speed and intensity that scientists struggle to explain. Their growth is so sudden, so powerful, that experts are calling it unprecedented. These storms are not following the old patterns. They are breaking records, rewriting expectations, and challenging everything we thought we understood about the laws of nature. For generations, humanity believed that storms followed predictable paths. Warm waters fed them slowly. Atmospheric pressure guided their strength. Wind patterns shaped their movement. Nature had rules, and even chaos seemed to obey those rules. But now, something has changed. These two storms are intensifying faster than models predicted, feeding on oceans hotter than ever recorded. Within hours, they transform from ordinary systems into monstrous forces capable of devastating entire regions. What makes this even more alarming is that experts are witnessing behaviors once thought nearly impossible. Storm walls strengthening overnight, pressure dropping at shocking rates, winds accelerating beyond expected limits. It is as if the atmosphere itself has entered unfamiliar territory. Scientists are searching for answers, but the storms continue to grow while the world watches in disbelief. The oceans, once calm guardians of Earth's balance, have become reservoirs of immense heat. Every fraction of a degree matters. Warm water acts like fuel poured onto fire, and these storms are consuming that fuel with terrifying efficiency. The atmosphere above them traps energy like a sealed furnace. The result is explosive intensification unlike anything seen before. Yet this is not merely a story about weather. It is a story about warning signs. Nature reflects the consequences of imbalance. When the world overheats, the skies respond. When the environment is pushed beyond its limits, the forces of Earth answer in ways humanity cannot fully control. These storms are not isolated incidents. They are symbols of a planet under stress. Still, amid the fear and uncertainty, there is something humanity must remember. Every crisis carries a lesson. Every storm reveals truth. These tempests remind us that we are not separate from nature. We are deeply connected to it. The winds that circle the earth do not recognize borders, politics, or wealth. The same sky stretches above every nation, every city, every human life. And perhaps that is the greatest message hidden within these unprecedented storms. Humanity has advanced in technology, in science, and in power, yet we remain vulnerable before the forces of nature. No machine can command the ocean. No invention can silence the wind. In the face of these giants, we are reminded of humility. But humility is not weakness. It is awareness. It is the understanding that wisdom must grow as quickly as our power grows. We must learn to respect the balance of the earth before imbalance becomes the new normal. The storms are teaching us this lesson with thunderous voices across the seas. As these two unprecedented systems continue to develop, the world watches satellites, forecasts, and emergency alerts. But beyond the data and headlines lies a deeper question. Are we prepared not only for stronger storms, but for a changing world? Because these storms may not be the exception. They may be the beginning of a new era, where nature behaves in ways humanity has never witnessed before. The skies are changing, the oceans are warming, the storms are growing stronger. And humanity now faces a choice: to ignore the warning, or to awaken before the next storm rises even faster than the last. Two storms are breaking historical patterns. The speech highlights how these storms are intensifying at unprecedented speeds, behaving in ways scientists once thought impossible. For centuries, humanity believed that storms followed patterns that could be understood, measured, and predicted. Meteorologists studied pressure systems, ocean temperatures, and wind currents, creating models that explained how storms formed and how they gained strength. Even the most dangerous hurricanes and cyclones seemed to obey the natural laws scientists had documented over generations. But now, something unsettling is unfolding across the oceans. Two rapidly growing storms are challenging everything experts thought they knew about storm behavior. Their speed of intensification has stunned researchers, their power has escalated beyond expectations, and their development appears to be breaking historical patterns unlike anything previously recorded. What makes these storms extraordinary is not merely their size, but the shocking pace at which they transformed from ordinary systems into violent atmospheric giants. In the past, storms usually required several days to evolve into catastrophic events. There were warning signs, gradual strengthening, and enough time for forecasters to adjust predictions. These new storms are behaving differently. Within hours, wind speeds are surging dramatically, pressure levels are collapsing at alarming rates, and entire systems are evolving with frightening speed. Experts who have spent decades studying weather systems are now admitting that some of these developments are beyond what existing models anticipated. Satellite images reveal swirling structures growing denser and more organized almost overnight. Storm eyes become sharply defined far earlier than expected. Massive thunderclouds rise high into the atmosphere with explosive force, feeding the storm's energy cycle continuously. Scientists describe this process as rapid intensification, but even that phrase feels insufficient to explain what is happening. These storms are not simply intensifying quickly, they are accelerating in ways that appear abnormal compared to historical records. One reason for this dramatic behavior lies beneath the surface of the ocean itself. Sea temperatures in many regions are reaching levels once considered rare. Warm water acts as fuel for storms, providing heat and moisture that allow systems to grow stronger. When storms move across unusually warm oceans, they absorb tremendous amounts of energy, almost like engines receiving endless fuel. The hotter the water becomes, the more explosive the storm's development can be. In these cases, scientists observe temperatures high enough to create ideal conditions for unusually powerful growth. At the same time, atmospheric conditions are becoming increasingly unstable. Changes in wind shear, humidity, and air pressure are combining in ways that allow storms to strengthen with fewer obstacles. Normally, certain atmospheric patterns weaken storms or slow their growth, but these two systems encountered environments almost perfectly designed for expansion. It was as though nature had removed every barrier standing in their path. The terrifying reality is that these storms may represent more than isolated incidents. Researchers fear they could signal the beginning of a new era in weather behavior. Storms that once seemed extraordinary may gradually become more common as global temperatures continue rising. Records are being shattered not by small margins, but by dramatic leaps that force scientists to rethink long-held assumptions about the limits of storm intensity. Humanity now finds itself witnessing nature behaving in unfamiliar ways. These storms remind us that the planet is changing faster than many expected. The atmosphere, the oceans, and the climate are deeply connected, and when one part shifts beyond balance, the consequences can spread with enormous force. What we are seeing is not just unusual weather. It is a warning that the rules humanity once depended on may no longer remain the same. Climate and ocean heat are fueling extreme growth, record-breaking ocean temperatures, and trapped atmospheric heat are acting as powerful fuel sources, causing storms to strengthen rapidly. The oceans of Earth have always carried immense power. Beneath their calm surfaces lies energy capable of shaping weather, influencing climates, and sustaining life across the planet. For countless generations, the balance between ocean temperatures and atmospheric conditions helped regulate the intensity of storms. But today, that balance is beginning to shift. Across vast regions of the world, ocean temperatures are reaching levels never before recorded, and these rising temperatures are becoming the hidden fuel behind storms that grow faster and stronger than scientists once believed possible. Water stores heat more efficiently than land, which means the oceans absorb enormous amounts of the planet's warming energy. As global temperatures continue to rise, much of that excess heat becomes trapped beneath the sea surface. To the human eye, the ocean may appear unchanged, but beneath the waves, conditions are transforming dramatically. Even a slight increase in sea temperature can provide storms with extraordinary amounts of energy. Storm systems feed on warm water, drawing moisture and heat upward into the atmosphere where it powers violent winds, towering clouds, and relentless rainfall. The two unprecedented storms now alarming experts are examples of what happens when nature encounters this dangerous combination of heat and instability. As these storms traveled across unusually warm waters, they absorbed energy at astonishing rates. Meteorologists watched wind speeds climb rapidly within a matter of hours. Pressure systems weakened so quickly that forecasting models struggled to keep pace. Entire weather systems evolved with explosive intensity, almost as if the storms had discovered an endless source of fuel beneath them. Scientists often compare hurricanes and cyclones to giant heat engines. Warm ocean water evaporates into the atmosphere, creating moist air that rises rapidly. As that air cools, it releases heat, which further strengthens the storm's circulation. The warmer the ocean becomes, the more powerful this cycle grows. In previous decades, storms often weakened when they encountered cooler waters or unfavorable atmospheric conditions. But now, many oceans remain warm across larger areas and greater depths, allowing storms to maintain strength for longer periods while intensifying more rapidly than before. What makes this situation deeply concerning is that these temperature changes are not isolated events. Heat records are being broken repeatedly across the globe. Marine heat waves are lasting longer and spreading farther. Regions once considered too cool to support major storms are now becoming increasingly vulnerable. Scientists who once viewed rapid intensification as relatively rare are now witnessing it more frequently, raising fears that extreme storms may become part of a dangerous new climate reality. The atmosphere also plays a crucial role in this transformation. Warmer air can hold more moisture, which means storms now carry larger amounts of water than in the past. This leads not only to stronger winds, but also to catastrophic flooding. Entire cities can be overwhelmed by rainfall in a matter of hours. Coastal regions face deadly storm surges as rising seas amplify the destructive power of incoming systems. Every fraction of warming increases the potential for devastation. Yet despite advanced satellites, supercomputers, and modern forecasting systems, nature continues to surprise humanity. Scientists are discovering that climate systems are more interconnected and sensitive than previously understood. The storms developing today are no longer behaving according to traditional expectations. Instead, they are revealing how a warming planet can alter the very mechanics of weather itself. These storms are more than temporary disasters. They are signals of a changing Earth. The oceans are speaking through rising waves, violent winds, and record-breaking storms. Their message is clear. When the balance of nature shifts, the consequences reach far beyond the horizon. Nature is warning humanity about global imbalance. The storms symbolize a planet under stress, showing the consequences of environmental imbalance and climate change. Throughout history, humanity has looked at nature with a mixture of admiration and confidence. Civilizations learned to navigate oceans, predict seasons, and build cities strong enough to survive ordinary disasters. Scientific progress gave people the belief that nearly every force on Earth could eventually be understood and controlled. Satellites now circle the planet. Supercomputers analyze weather systems, and experts can track storms from the moment they begin to form. Yet despite all this advancement, the emergence of these two unprecedented storms has revealed a humbling truth. Humanity remains vulnerable before the immense power of nature. The storms developing across the oceans are not merely strong, they are behaving in ways that challenge modern understanding. Scientists have watched them intensify with astonishing speed, transforming into destructive systems before many communities had time to prepare. Forecast models struggled to predict their explosive growth. Meteorologists who dedicated their lives to studying weather systems described these events with concern and disbelief. This uncertainty exposes the limits of human knowledge. Even with advanced technology, there are forces within nature that continue to move beyond complete prediction or control. For many people, modern life creates an illusion of security. Towering buildings, powerful machines, and endless streams of information make civilization appear unstoppable. Cities glow with artificial light, aircraft cross continents in hours, and communication travels instantly across the globe. Yet when a superstorm approaches, all that confidence can suddenly feel fragile. Winds stronger than any machine can resist tear-apart structures built over decades. Floodwaters swallow roads, homes, and entire neighborhoods within hours. Electricity fails, communication systems collapse, and millions are reminded that human systems depend heavily on the stability of nature itself. The frightening strength of these storms demonstrates how quickly control can disappear. A peaceful coastline can become a disaster zone overnight. Families who believed they were safe may suddenly face evacuation, destruction, or isolation. Even governments with enormous resources can struggle to respond when nature unleashes forces of overwhelming scale. The reality is unavoidable. Humanity may shape the world through technology, but it cannot command the oceans or silence the atmosphere. This vulnerability is not meant to inspire hopelessness. Instead, it reveals the importance of humility. Nature does not recognize human pride, borders, wealth, or status. Storms move across oceans without concern for politics or power. They remind humanity that despite all progress, people remain deeply connected to the natural systems of the planet. The air we breathe, the water we depend on, and the climate that sustains life are all part of a delicate balance far greater than human civilization alone. In many ways, these storms act as teachers. They force societies to confront uncomfortable realities about preparedness, environmental responsibility, and the limits of control. They show how quickly modern systems can be disrupted when nature behaves unpredictably. They also reveal the importance of cooperation. During disasters, survival often depends not on technology alone, but on communities helping one another, nations sharing resources, and people acting with compassion instead of division. The unprecedented storms forming today are reminders that humanity's greatest strength is not domination over nature, but wisdom in learning to live within its balance. Science remains essential, technology remains valuable, and preparation remains critical. But none of these can replace respect for the forces that shape the earth. The storms are warning humanity that nature still holds immense power, and ignoring that truth may come at a devastating cost. Humanity remains vulnerable before nature. Despite technological advancement, humans cannot fully control or predict the immense power of natural forces like superstorms. The storms rising across the oceans today are more than meteorological events. They are warnings written in wind, water, and fire-filled skies. Behind their terrifying power lies a deeper message about imbalance, not only in the atmosphere, but in the relationship between humanity and the planet itself. For decades, scientists warned that environmental changes could lead to stronger storms, rising seas, and increasingly unstable weather patterns. Those warnings were often treated as distant concerns, problems for another generation to solve. But now the evidence is no longer hidden in future predictions. It is unfolding in real time before the eyes of the world. These two unprecedented storms did not emerge from nothing. They developed in an environment shaped by years of rising global temperatures, warming oceans, and changing atmospheric conditions. Nature operates through balance. Oceans absorb heat, forests regulate air, ice reflects sunlight, and weather systems distribute energy across the planet. But when that balance is disturbed, the consequences begin to spread through every layer of the Earth's systems. The storms growing stronger today are symptoms of that disturbance. The oceans have become unusually warm, storing enormous amounts of energy beneath their surface. The atmosphere now contains more moisture and heat than in previous generations. Together, these changes create ideal conditions for explosive storm development. Storms that once required days to strengthen can now become dangerous within hours. Regions previously considered relatively safe are beginning to experience weather events far beyond historical expectations. What was once rare is becoming increasingly common. This is why many scientists view these storms as warnings rather than isolated disasters. Nature is responding to pressure. The planet is revealing what happens when environmental systems are pushed beyond their natural limits. Every heat wave, wildfire, flood, and rapidly intensifying storm forms part of a larger pattern that can no longer be ignored. The Earth is interconnected, and disturbances in one part of the system eventually affect the whole. Yet humanity often behaves as though it exists separately from nature. Cities expand endlessly, forests disappear, pollution spreads through air and oceans, and consumption continues at extraordinary levels. Modern civilization frequently prioritizes short-term growth over long-term balance. The result is a world where environmental stress continues to increase year after year. These storms serve as reminders that nature always responds to imbalance, whether humanity is prepared for that response or not. At the same time, the storms also reveal something about human behavior during crisis. When disaster approaches, differences between people often begin to fade. Communities unite, strangers help one another, and nations focus on survival instead of division. In moments of great danger, humanity remembers its shared vulnerability. The storms expose both the fragility of civilization and the strength that emerges when people work together. There is still time for humanity to learn from these warnings. The future is not completely written. Scientific innovation, environmental protection, sustainable energy, and global cooperation can CTA. The future depends on awareness and action. The speech urges humanity to respect Earth's balance, prepare for a changing climate, and respond wisely before extreme weather becomes the new normal.